are live. Hello, good morning, happy Sunday, everyone. It is spring here in Belgrade, and today I want to dive into what is it like to rent, what's the property market like in Belgrade right now. I've been in Serbia for about 4 years, and a lot has changed over the last 4 years. I do provide relocation services, and part of that service is to help my clients find properties to buy, to rent. In fact, after this live, I'll be heading to do a property tour on the outskirts of Belgrade, and I'll upload the video tomorrow. But for right now, I want to have a sit down conversation as Belgrade is becoming a much more of an attractive city for expats to live in, investors to buy property or set up companies. What exactly is the property market like? And there's just so much excitement. Um, if you're watching this in the future, definitely leave comments below for questions you may have. And we can get started with the different types of neighborhoods. Because as a foreigner, when I first came here, I didn't know about like the specific neighborhoods that are very popular for foreigners to live in. And I live in the city center. So every major city has a city center where you have the financial district, the business district, like just like that's the core of the city. And that's for Belgrade. That's if you watch my past videos, that's Kneza Mihailova Street, all the way to different like the zip code is like 1100. That's the zip code. But there are different for the city center. I should know like more streets, but Kneza Mihailova Street, Kneza Milosha. Um, there's a parliament that's in the city center, and there's a lot of other new development projects. But main neighborhood, I definitely tell my clients to consider, especially if you don't have a car and you like to walk around and take the bus or walk easily to pick up your groceries, do some type of activities, is the city center. Um, the next neighborhood, which is not too far from the city center, is Belgrade Waterfront. Belgrade Waterfront is a really exciting project that is quite visionary. They've been developing for over 10 years now. It is in partnership, I believe, with a private investor in the UAE called MR. And that is definitely, it's not just like residential properties, but you have hotels, you have restaurants, you have the mall, Galleria Mall. Galleria Mall actually opened when I first came in 2022. So that's really more of like the luxury, very foreign. It's right on the waterfront. In fact, they just took down the bridge that was there since like the 40s. So Belgrade Waterfront is a really popular neighborhood, especially amongst foreigners, but there are a lot of Serbs that are buying condos. For me personally, I like a more old school Belgrade. So I lived in a place like Belgrade Waterfront when I was living in Istanbul. It's shiny, tall buildings, very new. But for those that just want something to easily move into or even to do Airbnbs, Belgrade Waterfront is a nice neighborhood. I go to Gallery Mall. I sometimes go there to shop, but if you just want a very copy and paste life of, I guess, Dubai, which I haven't been to, or something that's just heavily expat friendly, Belgrade Waterfront is it's a great neighborhood for you to live in. The next neighborhood is Dorćol. Now, Dorćol is very hipster, it's very cool, it's very artsy, bohemian. I love Dorćol. In fact, when I first came here, I wanted to move to Dorćol. Just didn't happen, but Dorćol is a really cool neighborhood that's not too far from the city center. You have a lot of cool cafes and restaurants, boutique buildings. You have a lot of great bars. Friday and Saturday nights in Dorćol, like a lot of young people hang out there, but a lot of artists are there, and even the graffiti. Dorćol is a very cool neighborhood. So that's the third neighborhood. Then there is Novi Belgrade, which is like right across the bridge. So between like the city center and Belgrade Waterfront, you could cross one of these main bridge. That's Novi Belgrade is New Belgrade. So you have actually a lot of exciting new development projects there. You have a lot of blocks, so like old traditional, like Yugoslavian type of housing in Novi Belgrade. I personally don't go to Novi Belgrade that much, but it is across the bridge. And for people that want to live in Novi Belgrade, which has a lot of new development, For example, Delta District, and I'll talk about that property. That's Novi Belgrade. Another neighborhood is Zemun, not Zemun. Zemun was actually part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, so it's like a whole different, very European. Though Belgrade's a very European architecture and city, but Zemun, I've been there like 3 times because the Opera House is in Zemun, and I know maybe like one person lives in Zemun, and there's a boardwalk all the way from Belgrade waterfront all the way down to Zemun, and you can see the swans upon the river. So now that it's nice weather out, you see a lot of people walking along that boardwalk, and especially in the summertime, there's like this little nook in Zemun where you have all these like old traditional houses and restaurants. I think there's this tower. I haven't explored Zemun much, but hello. Zemun is a really cool but a bit far, for me at least, place. You definitely need a car if you're gonna live in Zemun. The next neighborhood that's really popular for, let's say, the affluent or the wealthy of Belgrade, and for international families, it's called Dedinje and Senjak. So Dedinje and Senjak, that's where a lot of the international schools are, or the private schools are. Those two neighborhoods, you have beautiful big villas, houses, compounds. There's private clubs. It's very residential, so you don't find a lot of supermarkets there. So, sorry. If you are an international family and you want to be able to walk your kids to school, I tell clients Senjak or Dedinje. And Dedinje, it's like the Beverly Hills of Serbia. So you do have some really beautiful homes. You have a lot of the consulates there. The American embassy is in Dedinje. Basically a lot of embassies are in Dedinje, and that's where like the rich live. So Dedinje is a nice neighborhood. And lastly, I would say Vovodinje. That's another popular neighborhood that is expat friendly, but you have much more Serbs living there. So let me know in the comments below if I missed any other neighborhood. City center, Belgrade waterfront, Dorćol. Oh, Vračar, sorry. Vračar is another cool neighborhood. You have a lot of Russians living there, and they have like the restaurants, cafes. You have, of course, a lot of Serbs. Vračar, I have some friends living in Vračar. I think that's where the Saint Sava Church is in Vračar. So yes, those are the main neighborhoods of Belgrade. City center, Belgrade waterfront, Dorćol, Vračar, Zemun, Novi Belgrade, Dedinje, and Senjak. Yeah, so 8 main neighborhoods. And of course, there's more to Belgrade, but since I don't have a car and I walk everywhere and take public transportation, those are the key neighborhoods. And if you're going to come live in Belgrade, unfortunately, Belgrade is not a cheap city anymore. It is not, especially since 2022, when the war in Ukraine broke out and you had a lot of Russians and a lot of Ukrainians, and I came in 2022, the price of property rose significantly. It used to be, and people tell me in the comment section, like at least pre-2020, you could rent, a nice apartment in the city center for like 500 or 600 euros. And honestly, those days are over. Belgrade has become very expensive, especially if you want to be centrally located. And not only is it become more expensive, it has attracted a lot more foreigners. So with foreigners coming in that have the dollars or the euros, unfortunately, it has... I think it's good that we have more foreigners and there's more developments that are being built right now. So it is no longer a cheap city, despite there are a lot of universities and there's a lot of students here. Those days of cheap living are over. Okay. However, people get creative, so people do live with their families. People have roommates. So if you do have like a very tight budget, you could like rent a big apartment and have 3 roommates or 2 roommates. So that lifestyles definitely exist, especially if you are coming here and working a certain in hospitality or in delivery or food delivery, people do rent rooms. People rent apartments together and have roommates. But for my clients that have bigger budgets, city center is still a very popular neighborhood. And I would say, I don't want to put numbers out there because everyone says the property market's going up, it's going down. But to rent, you would need at least rent, utilities, and if you have a building that has management fees, you need at least €1,000 per month. And many landlords now you have to have a deposit, in some cases, 2 deposits to get started with renting. What I love about living as an American abroad, you don't have to worry about credit scores or tax stubs. Like if you have the money, you're a good person, then you could rent. In the US, it's very much designed to keep a lot of people out or to have all these hurdles when it comes to renting. And renting, at least in Serbia, just have the money, be a good person, don't bring trouble, and then you rent a house. And most Serbs who are landlords are private landlords. So for me, my experience, I rent from a corporation because I prefer corporate landlords, which they're like a handful of corporate landlords. But most people that are renting, you're going to rent from a private investor or from a private landlord. So to get started, there are many people like myself that are part of different Facebook expat groups. There's like Belgrade Foreign Visitors Club, Renting in Belgrade, but there are a lot of rental agencies that will help you find housing. And with that, they charge a commission as well. So a monthly deposit, you have to pay the commission for the real estate agent, and then there's just other factors. But if you work directly with me, I have partnerships with different property developers and also landlords that want to rent to foreigners. So you don't have to worry about some just kind of walking in Belgrade and renting blindly. Whew. I usually do these lives at night, but I think each neighborhood is really special, and it depends on your lifestyle. If you're a couple, if you're a family, if you're single, if you have a pet, renting is is not only just about the budget, it's about the lifestyle. So I tell clients, if you have a family and you have school-age children, it makes sense to live in Senjak or Dedinje. That's for families. Even if you're retired, because there are people that are retired or that works in for an embassy or consulate, you live over there. If you're young, single, Dorćol is great. For couples, Dorćol is also great. Dorćol is great for every lifestyle. And the thing is about Serbia is when it comes to schools, they don't have like the yellow school buses that we have in America. So many parents drop off their children to school or children walk to school. So if you have school-age children, and you want to live by the schools, again, Dedinje, or at least Senjak specifically, that's the best place to live. And there's a lot of homes in Senjak. If you want something more, I guess, modern, Novi Belgrade is great. I don't know if there's any schools located in Novi Belgrade. I don't have children, so I don't know. But Novi Belgrade, yes, there's a lot of things happening. Belgrade waterfront, there are no schools there, but it's easy to walk to or drop your kids off from Belgrade waterfront to the city center or to Senjak. But again, Belgrade waterfront is very, very much, again, I've never been to Dubai, but it's kind of a copy and paste of that. You have these tall, shiny buildings and the malls, the restaurants, the beauty shops. It's great. It's nice. They have like a little park as well. So you have families, you have couples, you have single people living in Belgrade waterfront. I personally don't like it. And then for Vračar is also central. Vračar is very cool. You have a lot of Russians living in Vračar. And again, Zemun is just very quiet. I would live in Zemun if you really like nature and if you want to feel like you're living in Austria. And that's how I see personally Zemun. Because home ownership is very strong in Serbia, when people say they own a home, I've learned in outside the US, people like outright own it because during Yugoslavia, and Serbs, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of people were given apartments. And many Serbs I know that have apartments not only just in Belgrade, but maybe also in their home villages or in other cities around Serbia. And home ownership, just the model is just very different. I don't think they have like 30-year mortgages here. It's like you have the money or you don't, or you get like a 10-year mortgage. So buying property, especially as a foreigner, I don't think you would qualify to take out a loan. You need to buy out like in cash, from my understanding, and please correct me. A lot of people I know that have property, they inherited it or uh, they had their parents help them to buy the property outright. So people here are very much focused on owning property, like properly owning property. And when it comes to condos, we Americans say condos, but at least apartments or flats, there's like 5 really popular developments, specifically Belgrade waterfront. So there's a lot of apartments there. You have 2 upcoming ones called Delta District, which is located in Novi, Belgrade, right near the Hyatt Regency Hotel. So it's under construction right now. Apparently, they're charging like 10,000 euros per square meter. So you need to have a very big budget if you want to buy into that. But I've been to their showroom and the vision that they have, it's nice. It reminds me of Singapore. When I used to live in Singapore, the luxury over there, that's what they have in mind for Delta District. Then there is another development called Marina Dorćol. So it's going to be right in Dorćol, right on the waterfront. And again, beautiful, very futuristic, but they're charging about like 10,000 euros per square meter. So this city is just not cheap. You need to have money if you're gonna buy in and live your best life in Belgrade. Another development is the St. Regis. So the St. Regis Hotel, which is part of Belgrade waterfront, it's that like weird looking building. It's not just straight, it's just like curved. Most of the floors are private residences, and it's a hotel and private residence. I'm always there for my afternoon tea or tea with my friends. So they do have apartments to buy. They have, I think, like at least two penthouses and private residences. So on their website, you can check it out. I don't work with them. I just know because I sometimes see the staff and I ask about, how's everything going, because it's about 2 years old now. So if you are into the St. Regis, because the St. Regis is a globally well-known hotel, and they have their private residences at the St. Regis. Another private residence. I think those are, to my knowledge, that I know off the top of my head. The St. Regis, Marina Dorćol, and Delta District. Oh, and there's also Skyline. So Skyline, that property is like at the tail's end of the city center. It's on Kneza Miloša. They also, it's like this really tall tower. It's like 3 towers. So they have the office building, which is like this cone building, and then the 2 residential buildings. So there's that development, and it's owned by Israelis. When I first saw it, I was just like, wow, this reminds me of Tel Aviv. Exactly. So there's that private property. They're like corporate landlords, and I believe they're going private, so you can now buy an apartment there, or you can rent your office space there. And they're called, for Skyline, is by AFI Europe. So they built the airport city, and they have major developments not only just in Serbia, but also in different parts of Europe. So I take my clients to also view properties or apartments in that building, and yeah, they're pretty nice. The Skyline people are really nice. Okay, and talking about for short term, another property development. I can't believe I forgot about this. It's called Apartmani Serbia. So they have for short term rentals on Kneza Miloša Street. They have these beautiful little studios. And then they have in the city center a small building with about 30 apartments, 2 floors, three floors. So that's the other private corporate landlord. I actually used to live in that apartment on the waterfront. It's right near it's not on the waterfront, it's near the waterfront. Hi! We're talking about property in Belgrade. So that's another corporate landlord that's in the city center. That group, they own Hotel Serbia, which is right on the outskirts. I don't even know what neighborhood that is, but it's not too far. And they have this tall hotel. So which you also can rent apartments from. So you have a lot of options, but really your budget, especially if you're gonna live in Belgrade waterfront, you need at least 1,200 euros, at least, because you have the management fees, you have all these fees aside from rent and utilities. Um, if you want to be very, very fancy, Dedinje, but you need at least 3,000-4,000 to rent a whole entire house. They do have some apartments, but that's a very affluent area. And what's great about renting in Serbia is that a lot of the places come furnished. Because I tell my clients, if you're going to come, especially from the US, do not bring your furniture here. You can buy things here, buy things from Milan, buy things from neighboring countries, but there's no need to move all your stuff from the US to live here, because there are a lot of furniture shops, boutique ones or industrial ones like IKEA. You can get some really beautiful stuff here. But if you are like me and just want to move in and not have to like think about furniture, a lot of the housing for rent comes furnished. And if you want a storage unit, some buildings you can rent a storage unit, but there's really no need to have to rent a container. I know a lot of diplomats do that. They want to take everything, their paintings, their furniture, their tables, their everything. You can buy that here. Okay, good question. Hiya. Can you give insight on property management standards for these properties? Cheers. Okay, I can say for the last property that I lived in, Apartmane Serbia waterfront, they do have a good property manager, so you have their number. If you have problems with electricity, water, any type of problem, you can call and everything will be fixed. That's why a lot of these buildings have fees, so you don't have to worry about calling a plumber, calling an electrician. Some of them you have Wi-Fi. For my building, I had to bring buy my own internet. Some private landlords, depending on if you're renting individually, I rent through my own company, so I had to buy my own home Wi-Fi. So property managers, depending on if it's a corporation or if it's an individual, it could really vary. So it depends. Also, what your needs are. Many of the buildings are pet friendly, though some have like limits on how big like your dog can be. My building, you can have pets. I've seen people with big dogs, small dogs, cats. I don't have any pets. And also some of the properties, they provide cleaning services for an additional fee. So for me, if I want to have like a cleaner, I like cleaning my house, it costs like 35 euros. Because I have to pay like a monthly fee of like over 100 euros for just maintenance. But the technicians, they come when I need them. If I have any problems, I need them. So I can imagine Belgrade waterfront, they do have additional fees, but everything's always clean. If you have any problems, they have like 24, I wouldn't say a 24-hour service, but someone will get back to you by the end of the day. What I've seen from like Facebook groups, renting from a private landlord can be tricky because it's on the landlord and what their network is like. If you have any plumbing issues, any electrician issues, if they choose to provide internet or not. So that's why I prefer corporations or renting from a property that provides all those services. You just have to put it in your budget that you'll have management fees, or if anything happens, it's going to be on you as an individual to pay an electrician, or if you have any water problems, a plumber. So I hope that answers your question. Now, later today, after this, I will be going to the outskirts, like I said, of Belgrade to view this villa because there's more to Serbia than Belgrade. I know everyone's like, Blair, you're so obsessed with Belgrade, but I don't have a car. And since I'm an individual, I'm not going to rent a house. Like, I would feel just a bit lost in a big villa. But for my clients and for people that are more interested in seeing other parts of Belgrade and beautiful homes, that's what I will be doing. And I'll upload a video tomorrow. Uh, there are many beautiful places outside of Belgrade. There's Novi Sad. I've been to the city of Novi Sad. Um, it's nice. Would I live there? No. But they do have beautiful hotels, different properties, houses, apartments, villas. I mean, it's a city. It's just a smaller city than Belgrade. And I want to say, aside from renting or buying, a lot of people contact me because there's like where to stay. There's so many hotels. You have boutique hotels, you have fancy hotels, you have hotels with a long legacy. Hotel Moskva, very well-known hotel in Serbia. It's like a gem of the city that has really beautiful and distinct furniture and colors. So I tell clients, stay at Hotel Moskva, right in the heart of the city center. You have the Courtyard Marriott, so for people that are part of the whole Marriott group, the St. Regis, luxury, 5-star. You have the Bristol Hotel that opened over a year ago, so that's a beautiful hotel. I love also to have afternoon tea there or dinner there. You have, friendly, budget-friendly hotels and hostels. So if you're a student or if you're in your 20s and you don't have like a lot of money, there are hostels to stay in Belgrade. So really, Belgrade has things for every budget when it comes to traveling. For living, you just have to get more creative. If your budget's under 500 euros, you're definitely going to need roommates. There's nothing wrong with roommates. But for hotels, there are a lot of great hotels in the city. Hello. My personal favorite hotels is St. Regis. It's not too far from me. They have a tea room. And then also Bristol, because they have 2 restaurants, which is really, really nice. And I've never seen the rooms. I'm sure they're very nice. But there's also this boutique hotel called Square 9, also in the city center. It's like 2 streets away from Kneza Mihailova Street. So that's a boutique, very luxury, white luxury hotel that has 2 restaurants, one on the ground floor and then on the rooftop. So if you're visiting Serbia, again, or Belgrade specifically, it's not cheap, but you do have a variety of options of where to stay for, a week or for a couple of days. There's another hotel in Dorćol called the President Palace Hotel. I've done my tea parties there. Really beautiful, quite, let's just say, ostentatious decorations. So that's a beautiful hotel. And they also have a rooftop swimming pool. I think this is the only hotel with a rooftop swimming pool in the city. And, preferred currency for rent. Well, to rent, everything's going to be charged in the local currency, dinars, but many people advertise in euros to foreigners just to make it easier. So when I say you need minimum at least 1,000 euros to cover basics, especially if you're going to live alone, it's just easier to calculate like in euros, not even dollars. I stopped thinking dollars like a long time ago since I lived here. Another hotel is the Hilton. So everyone knows the Hilton hotels. That's also in the city center and like right across the street. That's another property development that's being built. I forgot the name of that property, but yes, that property, I remember that it still has a long way to go. You have the Expo 2027, so they're also building the Intercontinental Hotel, which is right across the river from Betonhala, which for those that don't know, is like the strip of all these restaurants along the Belgrade waterfront. So that's why I think they tore down that bridge, and right across the street is the Intercontinental Hotel. And you have Crown Plaza. So they do have international hotels here. And I think next year, I can't believe Expo is next year. They're going to expect millions of people to come here. So it's good to book now. But yeah, Intercontinental, hopefully, let's see if it's going to be done next year. Hilton Hotel, Courtyard Marriott. Um, I'm trying to think other international. They don't have Doubletree Hotel here. They just, the Crown Plaza, they have that. So those are the international ones. But for local boutique hotels, they have many local boutique hotels scattered all around the city with all different price ranges. And of course, hostels. You have many hostels here. When I was a student, you go on hostelworld.com and you could see a list of different hostels to stay and live for a couple of days or a couple of weeks to get started. So he said, greetings from Belgrade, Serbia. Hello, Zelko. Zelchko, welcome to my YouTube. We're talking about properties. One thing also, again, aside from properties being furnished, there are properties where there's no furniture and you have the option to bring or to buy your own furniture. You can do that. I just personally think that's a huge project. But if you're a diplomat, if you renting a container, because that's what diplomats do, they rent containers and they bring all their paintings and furniture, bedding, you have that option. And I do work with a moving company. So if you are moving and you need to move all your stuff, which can get pricey, there's that option. And there are houses that you can rent or buy, and properties where you can just have all your furniture. Because some people just don't want to have used property, furniture, which is fine. It's just an additional expense. One thing I love about the different neighborhoods in Belgrade, you have a lot of nature. So, so hopefully the city will not become a tourist trap. I don't think Belgrade is going to get to the point where it's going to be like Barcelona or Lisbon where you have too many tourists. I don't think Belgrade is going to be a city with over tourism. It's far from that. It's not going to be a Paris. It's not going to be a Bangkok that you have so many people. Tourism's good for the economy, but I think we're far from that. I know for 2027, they said they're expecting millions of people. But I don't think Belgrade is still very unknown to the world. Like when I came here, never crossed my mind to live in Serbia. So Serbia is still not branded as like the tourist destination. It's not there yet. It can be, maybe in 20 years, but it's still very unknown. It's still very unknown. And yes, when things become too touristy, too popular, it takes away from the authenticity and the character of the city. And that's why a lot of Spaniards and Portuguese are really mad because there are too many tourists and cities become just Airbnb. Like local people that own property, of course, people want to make money, but if you're just turning your residences into private properties for Airbnb, it takes away from the character of the neighborhood. So I've done Airbnb in Belgrade maybe once, and I feel like Airbnb is just too expensive. Might as well go on booking.com or a Facebook group and rent, because Airbnb is just it's no different from hotels now. And then you have the cleaning prices, the service fee prices, you have all these fees. So might as well rent than go on Airbnb. And there are short-term rentals here in Belgrade. So I don't recommend people do Airbnb. There are too many hotels and there are too many other places where you can get the amenities and the benefits from renting short-term, like a breakfast, and you have a cleaning service. Airbnb here, and I feel like increasingly a lot of Americans are getting tired of Airbnb because all these fees. So no, but if you're a nature person like me, Belgrade has a lot of beautiful trees. It's cherry blossom season right now, and you have trees, you have flowers. It's not like a city where there's so much concrete. I mean, okay, in the Czech Republic, in the city center, I really believe there's a lot of concrete. They should put more trees. But in other places, you have trees. Like I'm looking outside my window, there's this beautiful tree. Finally, it's starting to bud. You have a lot of trees. You have a lot of nature around you. And I say this is important because I've been to cities where it is not only just hot, but you have a lot of concrete and you don't have any trees for shade, and it just makes it uncomfortable and it makes it kind of ugly. Like for example, there are a lot of American cities that are just roads and parking lots and no nature. Uh, I remember I was living in Bangkok and I traveled from Bangkok to Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and I was stuck at the border called at this small town called Phuket, and it was just miserably hot, and there was just no trees in sight, and it was just very dusty, and it was just a huge turnoff. I'm sure Cambodia, that place is better now, but I don't ever want to live in a city or travel to a place where there's really no nature and it's miserably hot and you just have streets and it's not nice. So Belgrade is a pretty city because the architecture is not only just very European, but you have a lot of character to the buildings, the architecture. There's a lot of statues, there's a lot of signs. I like when I'm walking around, you see like a little placard on a building. It talks about the history of this neighborhood or of this street. I didn't know that Prince Miloš, where Prince Miloš, like the first prince, I believe, of Serbia. I didn't know much about him until I was walking. I saw these little placards or like this little history that talks about him in English and Serbian. So it's like these little details that makes Belgrade a special city. Um, People think, for example, oh, Paris. I lived in Paris. Paris is not a great place to live. For me, I believe Paris is very dirty. There are rats. Like by the Eiffel Tower, people always like, oh, Eiffel Tower. But there were signs that says, do not picnic in the green space in the Eiffel Tower because there are rats. A lot of garbage everywhere because the French are always protesting. And it's not a nice city to live in or start a business in. It's nice to visit for a couple of days, but I would not say Paris is a city to like live your best life in. Belgrade is cleaner than Paris. It's easy and more pedestrian friendly. They don't have subways yet, to my knowledge. So you have the buses, you have the trams. Of course, there's taxis. They have Yandex. They don't have Uber. They have Yandex and Pink Taxi and private taxis. So really getting around Belgrade, now that buses are free, is very easy. So if I want to go to see my friend in Vračar, I could walk either 25 minutes, or I could take the bus for free. So the city is really designed for people in mind, and depending on the neighborhood you live in, it's easy to go from one neighborhood to another. It's really easy. And I think that's important because I'm from Massachusetts, originally from New York, but raised in Massachusetts. And I lived in the outskirts of Boston. And if friends invited me to Boston, I would have to take the commuter rail train, the same train I took in high school. Now it's just double the price. It would take me an hour and a half to get to the city of Boston. And while Boston has its other neighborhoods, Newton, Cambridge, Lexington, all these affluent neighborhoods, it's very difficult to get from one neighborhood to another. That's not the case in Belgrade. It's very easy to get from one place to another. Paris is on the radar. The best place usually not well known. Exactly. Paris in France has really branded itself as like the love capital of the world. It's so beautiful. It's so romantic. It's all branding. Serbia is just not branded well enough for people to know. That's why me, Blair in Belgrade, I'm saying sharing my life here because people really just don't know. But I think it's important if you're a foreigner and you're living here and you want to know how to get from one neighborhood to another. If I want to go to Belgrade waterfront, I can walk. If I want to go to Vračar, I can walk or take the bus. If I want to go to Dedinje, I can walk. So it's important to understand how a city is designed and laid out, where you can easily get around and not have to have a car. Now, I don't have a car, but everyone tells me how it's a nightmare to find parking in the city. This city has like 1.5 million people. So I think the population size is just right. But I lived in major cities where there were more than 10 million people. So I don't know why people complain about traffic when They just need more flow of the roads. But parking can be a problem if you have a car. Some buildings they do provide free parking, or you pay a monthly fee for your parking. But if you're going to certain areas, just leave early because parking will be hard to find. I think they need more parking garages. That's what Belgrade needs. They need more parking garages, and also parking garages that has like an underground. For example, when I was living in Seoul, Korea, which is small, but Korea is small and it's very compacted. You have a lot of parking with like deep undergrounds. The Koreans did it really well with how small the cities are, but Seoul, Korea, the greater Seoul has 25 million people. But they designed it for where people can have a lot of cars. Okay, building quality standards, new construction, especially prep for 2027. But I think, okay, I don't want to get in trouble. So from what I've heard about Belgrade waterfront and why I don't promote that area is just the construction is not, the construction could be better. Okay, that is what I've heard. I've heard there's flooding, cracks in the wall, and it's just, it could be better. And I think when you're building so fast, quality can be overlooked. But I know people that are happily living there, and when they started, there were some problems, but things are fine. But I don't live there. And I've been to maybe one apartment there, and it looked beautiful. But I think it could be fine. Belgrade waterfront is okay. I don't want to criticize that because that's a government project. So it's okay. But it could be better. Where I live, I'm really happy. My building, it's a new building, excellent quality, very happy, no problems. I don't know about, especially for the current products, for the current properties that are being built, like Delta District and Marina Dorćol, I'm sure they'll have high quality. But a lot of the old buildings, those old buildings that were like built during Yugoslavia, those buildings are built to last. And I think that's why a lot of people like the old buildings, because they might look ugly on the outside, but inside they're very spacious, solidly built. Like these buildings can survive an earthquake. So the communist design and architecture is not the prettiest, but it is very, very stable, and it can withstand a lot of, I guess, natural disasters. So when I lived in an old building, not the prettiest on the outside, but solid. I don't have to worry about, heavy rains or an earthquake. I know the Expo 2027, it's going to be in a city called Srčan. I've been to Srčan twice. They're building a lot. Let's see if everything's going to be done by next year. But I can't talk to the quality of the standards. I just personally know I wouldn't live in Belgrade waterfront because of the stories I've heard. But everything looks pretty, and I know people that are happily living there. They just had a little trouble when they started. So, but all is well now, so. And quality matters, because I think, especially in the States, the way new homes are built in the States, if you just, it just collapses because we're building so fast. In other markets I lived in, when I was in Thailand, when I was in China, buildings are built to withstand a lot of natural disasters. Sometimes new buildings are built so quickly and slowly, or so quickly that you have cracks in the building, you have flooding, you have just structural issues. So it really depends. And I think I work with different real estate agents, so I ask these questions on behalf of my clients. And that's why I say, if you want a very sturdy place, it's not going to be the prettiest on the outside, you go to the old buildings. Those buildings are built to last like 50 or more years. And you see a lot of those old buildings in Novi, Belgrade. Again, not pretty on the outside, but very, very spacious on the inside. And regards to, for me, it depends. Do you want like a lot of natural lighting? For me, it was really important for my place to have like a lot of light, a lot of natural light. My first apartment here, unfortunately, it was just so dark. I was like living in a dungeon. And that's why it was really hard not only to make YouTube videos, but it definitely affects your mood. I like to wake up with like the sun. I need the sun in my face. But the old building, it was my old apartment was like 80 square meters, but the windows, because I was in the base, I wasn't technically in the basement, but I was in the ground floor, and there was just several buildings near me, so I didn't even get any natural light, barely. So if you're gonna move here, and if natural light's important to you, it depends on if you're the east side or the west side or the north side. Like it depends. There are different angles and depends like how high you're up. If you're in a building that has 30 or more floors or high floors, of course you can get a beautiful view. I have a little patio. That's important. A lot of I think Belgrade apartments, you have like a nice little patio. There's not too many buildings, to my knowledge, that is just windows and that's it. I think everyone has some type of little patio. I don't know. I think the housing here is designed for humans to be happy, unlike the States or some places that just want to compact as many people in as possible. Doesn't matter. I just want to save cost on space. I saw a lot of that when I was briefly in Hong Kong. Hong Kong notoriously is one of the most expensive places to live in the world right now. And unlike Singapore, Hong Kong has a bit of a affordable housing crisis. So you do have, I wouldn't even call them apartments. They call them like cages where people are just literally renting like this little slither of space. When I was in Japan, that's one thing I didn't like about Japan. Japan is not really foreign friendly. Japan is beautiful to visit. Japan is beautiful just for a holiday, but to live as a foreigner, it's very difficult because when you're renting, a lot of landlords don't want to rent to foreigners. A lot of neighbors, especially if you don't speak Japanese, it's just impossible. You need to speak some type of Japanese, or if your job finds your housing, they help you, that's great. Here in Serbia, because most people speak English, rental contracts will be in Serbian and in English, and landlords will communicate with you in English. But all your bills, especially utilities, are going to be in Serbian. So people are friendly. All the, let's say, bills will be in the dinars. But for some markets, if you're a foreigner, some people don't want to rent to you. They don't want to have the hassle of communicating in English or different language, and they just don't want foreigners. Versus here, people want foreigners, but you just have to be careful. Like, I've been very lucky to have very good landlords. Hi, again. Um, but if you're going to rent from a private landlord, make sure you ask them and have in writing, what are the benefits you have? Do they provide Wi-Fi? How are you going to pay your bills? Is it going to do a bank transfer? You're going to pay in cash? You're going to pay with a card? When do you have to have your rent paid? Is it the first of the month, the 5th of the month, or the 10th of the month? So you just have to ask your landlord. I have a legal team, so when it comes to any types of contracts, I have my lawyer to translate and just to make sure everything goes in accordance to law. And then short-term housing, again, everything you pay, you provided a key, you have rights. People have rights here. And again, it's just going to be in Serbian. Airbnb, everything obviously is in English, but renting long-term, most contracts are going to be in Serbian and in English. And in Serbian, it's going to be either the Cyrillic, because everything legally is just always Cyrillic, or Latin. So you have that dual option. Okay. What else we can talk about? Lifestyle. When people ask me, for example, like, what's the lifestyle like, especially if you are, have I visited Moldova? No. For me to travel somewhere, I need a reason. I do need to go on holiday. I feel very anxious. I need to go on holiday. But I haven't been to Moldova. I need a reason to go there. I don't know what I would see in Moldova, what the hotels are like, what the foods is like. I'm sure not Moldova is nice. I just haven't had a reason to go to Moldova. So, and plus, I don't have a car. Like a lot of the Balkan countries are quite near each other, and a lot of people like drive to places. So since I don't have a car, and I don't drive, I have to like renew my American license, which I haven't done in a long time. So I just prefer to fly, or I could hire a driver for a day. So that's really me. Lifestyle wise, there are foreigners, and I know many locals that have cars, and it's easier obviously to get around when you have a car. I know some people you could rent a car. I'm not sure rent a car is in Serbia, but I'm sure there are agencies where you can rent a car and you can drive around to other places around Europe. I don't know unless my clients specifically ask me for that, but I've known people that have rented a car. I've rented a taxi for a day because I had to do a border run to Croatia, and it cost me about 10,000 dinars. Very simple. So again, if you have the money, you can live quite nicely here. If you have a smaller budget, you can just get very creative with the roommates. Um, Food wise, groceries have gotten more expensive. With my current apartment, I have like this beautiful, nice big refrigerator, but from some places I rented, I had like a mini fridge. I'm just one person, so it actually worked out for me because I grocery shop like every other day. Living in Europe, I've learned that the American style of groceries for like 2 weeks where you buy a bunch of stuff, it doesn't work because you need fresh bread, you need fresh food, which doesn't last forever. So some places have just a standard fridge, a mini fridge. I'm sure some places have like these big style double fridge, like steel fridges. I'm sure they have that, but that wouldn't make sense if you have a family of four or more to have such a big fridge. Um, Stoves, a lot of the housing have like these electrical stove tops. I'm saying this is important because I remember when I lived in Asia, I had like these hot plate stoves. It was not popular to have the American oven and the gas stoves. That was not really a thing in at least in Bangkok. And maybe in the newer buildings, yes, but you have these electronic hot plates, not the traditional gas stove. And if you're watching the future right now, you can tell me like, do you have gas stoves in Serbia? Because all the places is electrical ones that I've seen, and like in new buildings, again, electrical ones, not gas stove tops. But if you want to be very fancy, I'm sure there are some other places, especially that have older homes or new homes that have bigger stoves with like 6 hot plates, and you have the fancy overhead. So it depends. It really depends, I believe, on your budget and how much space you need for storage of your food, for cooking. The It's very, I guess, fashionable today to have no handles on the cabinets. My house, there's no handles, so everything's kind of magnetic, or even my closets, which is a bit annoying. Um, I don't like my closets. They're gray, and there's no handles on the closets. So yeah, I think with closets and closet space, either there's no handles, or I have to buy like my own armoire. So yeah, electric would be good. Electric is good, and it's safer because it's automatic. If you don't have the pot physically on the stove, it just turns off by itself as a safety feature. So I don't know. Growing up, I in the 90s and early 2000s, I'm 36, you had a lot of electric, you didn't have as much electric stoves. You had a lot of gas stoves. Electric stoves became something more popular like in the later, I guess, later 2000s. And especially if you went to Sears, which unfortunately went bankrupt, to buy a whole entire new stove. Because houses, at least in the US, and I think most parts of the world, you can rent or buy and you have the appliance. I know in Germany, like that's the only country where you have people take their cabinets, they take their fridge, they take everything with them because you have to build and buy your own stuff. But in Serbia and in most parts of the world, if you're going to rent a place or buy a place, you keep the appliances. And with a lot new, the evolution, I guess, of refrigerators and stoves, everything has become more electric. And more safer. Another thing is TVs. I forgot about TVs because I don't watch TV. Most places have like a flat screen TV. My building, there's a flat screen TV, but I don't have cable and I have to buy cable. I don't think I need it. I just have Netflix, and I have my YouTube, I have HBO Max. So again, many flat screen TVs now you have those options of you can buy in to watch local TV. Um, and if you have subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney, that's on you to buy it. So, hi Blair, your Black British sister here, coming to Belgrade in a few days. Whoa, hi, Curly Weekend. Wow, welcome. You should book an afternoon tea experience with me. I would love to meet you, and we can have afternoon tea at the St. Regis. That's something I do to meet people. You'll love Belgrade, wherever you're staying in, because there's so many great hotels to choose from. So that's great. Regards to TVs, back to TVs, yes. So I lived abroad for about over like 10 years, and most places now these days comes with TVs. I remember when flat screens TVs came out in the early 2000s, especially around Thanksgiving time when in Best Buy, which unfortunately also went bankrupt, you had just like the big bulky TVs. But now new buildings, you have, and I think even old buildings, you have like a flat screen TV, but you're gonna have to pay for the cable to tune into watch the local news. In the other building I lived in, Apartmani, they did not only they provided TV and they had the cable, which was great. So I was able to like watch the local news. I just read the local news online, but I think it's important. Maybe eventually I'll get cable to see what's locally being shown. But yeah, if you're a TV person, and again, if you're a foreigner, you don't need to move with your TV. You can buy a TV here, or most places that you rent or buy will have a TV. You just have to have at least internet. So how is the sewer system? This is becoming problematic worldwide. Flooding, weak infrastructure. That's a good question. The sewer system. I think it depends on where you live. From what I understand, I walk around a lot. The sewer system in Serbia is quite well constructed. Like the engineers have done a great job. They don't have as much heavy rains like Southeast Asia. When I was living in Singapore and Thailand and I traveled to Malaysia, you have heavy rains. They have a raining season. So the sewers sometimes got clogged, or you just have to make sure you're not outside because it rains so hard it can get to your knees. So here in Serbia, I don't recall they have any problems with their sewer systems. When it comes to the bathrooms, for example, you have like the standard toilets, though I think you can put tissue paper when you flush. But in some parts of Asia, I remember they're like, do not put tissue in the toilet because that will clog the sewer system. So I think some countries that have sewer problems is because people are putting tissue paper and their sewer systems are not designed to flush toilet paper. Here, that's not a problem. I love that. How Shirley? Yes. Yes, send me an email and I'll send you a link to book an afternoon tea experience with me, and we can go and meet at the St. Regis Hotel. So my email is blair@blairandbeyond.com, or you can see my website, blairandbeyond.com. So hi, Zelchko. How's that going? Yes. So we can have the tea experience. But yeah, the sewer system here is quite solid. I wouldn't say it's like futuristic advance, but they don't have a raining season. So you don't have like bad flooding. I think, yeah, 3 years ago, I remember I was in Novi Sad and there was a flood. Like it rained so much, like me and my friend, we were running in the rain, and when we were trying to drive back to Belgrade, that we saw a car that was stuck in a flood. That's rare, from my understanding, for something like that to happen, where the sewers just get so overwhelmed because you had a flash flood of just so much rain, and it's just like, where does all the water go? And when the snow melts, this is like, where does the melted snow go? So from what I understand so far, everything here is great, especially with the newer buildings, the way they build. The sewers are great. I don't know what else to add. I want to also talk about the bathrooms. So a lot of new buildings, for me, I want heated floors, because when I lived in Korea and in China, I experienced heated floors. And then I had an apartment in Istanbul, and I had the whole apartment was heated floors. Heated floors is still like a luxury. I have heated floors, which is amazing because I like my feet to be warm. Not many apartments have heated floors. So if you're looking for a place for heated floors, that can be a bonus feature. Also in the bathrooms, most places have like a bidet and a toilet, or a bidet and a bidet. In Asia, you always the bidet, like the spray. But here, what I love is like the nice bidets. If I don't have a bidet, which that's like the only thing other than the closets I hate about my apartment. But yes, the floors, you have heated floors, or sometimes not heated floors. You have a bidet or a bidet. You have like a nice sink. If you want something spacious, you can have like a double sink in your bathroom. And you have like these towel heaters. So you don't find this a lot in the US. When it comes to the bathrooms, for some reason, we don't have like towel heaters. You just have like little hooks to place your towels. But since I've lived here, most places have a place to heat your towels. And I have a washing machine. Ooh, we talk about washing machines. Now, my washing machine also acts as a dryer. So in some buildings, actually I think in most buildings, new or old, you will get a washing machine, but I don't think you will get a dryer. To get a dryer, I think that would be an additional expense, because many people hang their laundry, and I think that's why we have the towel heaters. So for me, I use the towel heaters to like dry like some of my laundry. Because honestly, the washing dryer machine, which is a very weird combo, the last time I saw that combo was when I lived in New Zealand, and my friend, she had the washer and dryer, and it doesn't really dry. It's like damp. So I just like hang dry my clothes. Okay, you would love to know where to buy fine planters. Curly Beacon, I think I know a place, but send me an email. Send me an email and I can answer, and we can book a call so I can tell you, where to buy. Because that's a good question. I know exactly where. There's an African lady that she's on TikTok, and she sells plantains. And I love plantains. You cannot find them in every store. So send me an email, blair@blairandbeyond.com. Back to the dryer. So most places do have a washing machine, and they're either located in the bathroom or like a cabinet in the kitchen, which I find strange. They don't have laundry rooms here for some reason. So bathroom is where you find the washing machine. When I was in Asia, a lot of places do not have dryers because it's so hot. You might as well just hang your clothes to dry. But this washing machine I have also acts as a dryer, and I think that's nice, but it technically doesn't work. So you just use the towel heater, the shower heads. I know this might be weird, but I think this is why you could tell if a building is designed by a man. You have the waterfall shower head. Ladies, we're not washing our hair. I don't wash my hair every day, and I have to just use this like shower head that I just pick up, which they didn't put at a different angle, to shower. Great. Okay, Curly Beacon, yes, I look forward to your email. So with some of the bathrooms, especially, there are certain like little features you want to ask for or you have to look for. Make sure you have that washer. Make sure you have space to dry your clothes. So if you have like a nice little patio, or you have like a towel heater to dry your clothes. They don't have a lot of tubs here. Bathtubs are not popular in Belgrade, which I find really interesting because why not? Especially in the summer, it gets hot. I'm showering all the time. So you have most places, okay, in some newer buildings, I've seen the shower in the bathtub, but it's like in two different toilets. Like there's few places, though more expensive, have the shower and the standby tub, or they have the tub with the shower. My building, unfortunately, okay, I have a one bedroom. I just have the stand-on shower and this like a flat floor. In other apartments I looked at for like two bedrooms, like the bathroom has the tub, but they don't have the tub and shower, and I have to go to the other bathroom for the shower, which is really interesting. So if you're me, bathtubs, I wouldn't say they waste water. If you have young children, for example, you're not going to put your children in like a marble fancy shower. Bathtubs are important for families. And I would love to take a bubble bath. I love bubble baths. I grew up in a house with a shower and a bathtub, and I took bubble baths. And it's just lovely. So it's just a little weird. I have to ask some of my friends that have children, like, do you not have bathtubs? Because you give children baths. You fill the tubs and give them baths. You don't shower children. It's slippery. They can fall, especially if you have a baby. You want to have like the bathtub to like put them in the mini bath. So I think bathtubs are important. Bathtubs are important. It's just not common, maybe at least in the new buildings, to find a bathtub. Ideally, it would be good. My ultimate bathroom, I would love to have a bathtub, a standalone bathtub with a shower, and the toilet would be a Japanese style toilet because the Japanese make great toilets. When I was in Tokyo, they had heated toilets. It was amazing. Here, yes, you have the standard beautiful toilets, but they do not do the toilets like the Japanese. And there's no bathtubs, which is strange. Or if there's bathtubs, it's in two separate rooms. Why? Next, for the bedrooms, from what I understand, of course, you have like new mattresses, and you have, depending on the size, most places I've seen you come with like a full size mattress. They don't have like queen size or king size. I think if you want that, you have to buy your own mattress, and there are many mattress stores. But you have to also think about the frame. And I have just like one standalone mattress. And I think in Europe, this is a thing. Like you can lift up the mattress and you have like storage under the bed. Versus in the US, when you buy mattresses, it's like the squishy comforter mattress, and then you have like the spring mattress or like this hard mattress. So it's like two beds in like one bed frame. But here in Serbia, from what I've seen, it's just like one. The bed frame acts as like a storage space. So you have like these wooden panels that could be lifted up, and then you have the squishy, the comfortable mattress. Let me comment if you understand and follow me what I'm saying. I know this is strange, but Americans, we would understand this. Usually when you have a bed set, you have two mattresses, a hard mattress and then the comfortable mattress. And then you have like a bed frame. And then maybe if you have some space under the bed, but that's just not the case. You have these mattresses where you can lift them up, and then you have storage space. So storage within your home is quite cleverly designed. You have the closets, you have the mattress space, and also even my sofa underneath is also has a mattress. Yes, mattress plus the foundation, then bed frame. Exactly. So here, I guess maybe that saves space, or the design is you don't need two mattresses. You just need one in the bed frame, and that bed frame is designed to be storage space. So, but if you want a king size mattress or a queen size mattress, you have to buy that on your own. or maybe the private landlord, you can ask, but that would be an additional fee. Because mattresses are just everywhere, it's quite pricey. So, another space, I guess, in your home to think about when buying or renting is the living room and the dining room. Most places that I've seen and showed to my clients, you have a lot of open space concept of a kitchen. I haven't seen too many places where you have a kitchen and you have a kitchen, dining room, and living room. And if you have the dining room, I think that's where people buy their own furniture, because if you're entertaining a lot, you want to be able to pick your own dining room set. You want to have a china set. That is like an additional expense. But with the living room, traditionally you have the sofas, you have the TVs, you have maybe a bookshelf if you like to read, or a shelf to store paperwork, or even a separate office. So I've seen homes with offices, but I haven't seen any furnished homes where you have it furnished, your kitchen furnished, and the dining room furnished. Because dining room, I think that's still like a luxury space. As a millennial growing up, we've always had the nice dining room, which we use like once in a while to entertain guests, and then you have a china set to have all your beautiful china, your silverware, your wine glasses. There are places, I'm trying to think, that do have like a separate like little wine cellar or like a wine fridge. I don't drink a lot of wine, but on top I have a space where I put all my wine bottles, and they just sit there because I'm not a big drinker. For the kitchen, especially if you like to cook like myself, you have a lot of space for your dry foods, for your spices, for trying to think, for your cups, plates, knives, and for other cutlery for your entertaining. So you have a lot of space. I think most places you rent or buy, you're going to have a lot of space to put your plates and your cutlery. And for renting, many places do provide just like 3 sets for your forks, knives, and spoons, and like plates and bowls. So you're not starting completely from scratch if you're renting. You have some basic, but not the prettiest, cups, plates, spoons, and knives. I've been to IKEA. I did a whole day trip to IKEA. So you have IKEA to go to, but if you want like more boutique china, beautiful ware, there are some stores where you can buy silverware, china, plates and cups. There's Zara Home. H&M also has their own like home section, so you can buy your wine glasses and some other cutlery. So, flooring, carpet, hardwood, marble. Okay, so most places have hardwood floors. And one thing I've learned about the hardwood floors are, I don't know, the design of the wood is not just straight. For some reason, I have straight woods, but many places has like this triangle shaped hardwood floors. And I've never seen that until I moved to Serbia. I don't know why a lot of places have that triangle hardwood floor, that design. I have not seen any place that has full carpets. They have rugs, so you can buy a rug, or many of the places you rent will have a rug, but I have not seen any homes, especially if you're going to rent, that has a full carpet, because carpets are hard to maintain, after years, and if you have pets, it can get smelly. So many people, I think, have changed to wooded floors, and then wooded floors with like a nice carpet. As far as marble, yes, there are some places, but those are more affluent homes that has marble floors, marble counters, stainless steel appliances. If you have the budget, they exist. It's just not as for an everyday building. I'm doing well talking about property in Serbia. So yes, there was one place I went to. It was an after party, and this is probably the most beautiful home that I ever seen in my life, and I've been to a lot of places. This person had amazing taste in Dedinje, and yes, they had marble floors. They had a private wine cellar. I mean, this is like a multi-million euro home. So in homes like that, yes, you will have marble floors, heated floors, a private paddle court, a private pool. Like, neighborhoods like this exist with homes that are designed, but you need to have millions, or at least hundreds of millions, or hundreds of thousands at least to rent or to construct. And a lot of people are building homes from scratch like that, or over the years they renovate. I know it was a huge phase, especially in the 2000s, to have marble countertops and beautiful, not wooded cabinets. But again, you have to build that yourself. If you're renting, I don't think landlords are going to let you make such changes, let alone change the flooring. If I wanted to paint my place, for example, I'm sure I would have to get permission to paint. And if it was up to me, if I buy my place, because there's an option to buy, my place would be about, and this is like the cheapest option because they're selling for about 6,000 euros per square meter. It would be about 330,000 euros. I would definitely change the carpets. No, I would change the closets because it's an ugly gray. There's just so much gray in my home. So it really depends. If your landlord allows you to make changes, I'm sure you would have to hire a professional contractor to paint, to change the cabinets, even to get new appliances. That's going to come out of your pocket. So it's just better to make a budget or to buy a new home that has marble floors. There are really, again, some homes here that do have all these bells and whistles. It's just, do you have €1 million to have all these bells and whistles? When it comes to the kitchens, because Americans, we're obsessed with having like these aesthetic, beautiful kitchens that people are not going to cook in. It depends on your budget. If you're going to rent, most kitchens are spacious. You have the tables, you have the chairs, living rooms, you have the coffee tables. So it really depends. If you're renting and you have a budget to decorate, you can decorate quite nicely, but you have to get permission from your landlord if you're going to make like a substantial change, like painting or flooring, or changing the closets. I want to also talk about mirrors, because one thing I love about my place, in most places you have like a nice mirror. Like if you see this beautiful round mirror, love it. Most places you'll get, a basic mirror. There's a nice mirror. I have like 4 mirrors. I have 2 mirrors in my living room, bedroom, and in the bathroom. And at least growing up in the States, growing up, my mom, we did a lot of renovations in our home. So we renovated from the outside to inside, floors, walls, the bathrooms. And I remember we had like this beautiful, huge mirror. So if you're the type to have like mirrors, most apartments have like a nice mirror. I think mirrors are important. So, okay, does anybody have any more questions? Don't forget, I do provide relocation services. I have partnerships with different property managers. And after this, I will be going out to do a property tour on the outskirts of Belgrade. So I'm very excited about that. And if you want to meet in person, oh, wow, you're watching from South Africa. There are some South Africans that have moved here. Apparently there's a big Serbian community in South Africa. But I've met some South African Serbs that come here for the summer. I met them, I think last summer. Yeah, that loved it. I've never been to South Africa. I've heard it's great, but I would be a bit scared to go. You're welcome. Clarity is important. That's why I do these lives every Sunday. So if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, see my website, blairandbeyond.com. You can book an experience with me so we can have afternoon tea at the St. Regis. I do, for people that are looking to move, but they're not sure if they want to move to Belgrade just yet, I do provide like a go-see service. So I show you around the city, property tours, communities, and everything before you make a commitment. But the property market overall in Belgrade has gotten a lot more expensive. So definitely have a budget of at least 1,000 euros a month to rent, and plus a month or 2 deposits, because you have to also may pay a commission to a real estate agent, or if you work with me, I absorb that in my service fee cost. So I know a lot of different great properties here. If you want to buy, watch my video tomorrow, because I'm doing a tour of this villa on the outskirts of Belgrade. And yeah, you could see, I'm excited for that. Yes, you can make turn to South Africa actually at Cape Town. I heard about Cape Town. I heard it's not the safest for Black people. So, I mean, I've heard a lot of African Americans are loving South Africa. I just feel I wouldn't feel safe there. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll make a trip one day, but I have to have like certain assurances, like a private driver, security. I like to wander and walk around, so I don't know if I can do that in Johannesburg. I've been to Kenya, I've been to Sao Tome and Principe, but I've heard great things about South Africa. I don't know what the property market's like, but if you're looking to move to Serbia, have a nice budget. It is not a cheap city anymore. Expo 2027 next year, they're building towards that. There are a lot of already great hotels here that meets, if you only have 12 euros a night to spend, you can find a hostel to stay at. If you want to spend 500 euros a night, you have the St. Regis, Bristol, Square Nine to spend or more. So if you want to live it up in luxury in Belgrade, absolutely can. Absolutely can. If you are budget college students or just backpacker, there are hostels in the city. But things do add up quickly aside from rent. You have utilities, you have food, and if you also are looking to move here permanently, and I tell you, do not bring your stuff. You can buy everything here. There are plenty of furniture stores. This is Europe. You can import beautiful furniture from Italy or from France. You can really build a beautiful life here. So if you're an American, leave your stuff in the US. Buy here. If you are middle class and you want to go to IKEA, great. They don't have a Macy's or unfortunately a Sears, but they do have some other department stores where you can get everything. When it comes to bedding, for example, I went to, there's some like little shops that sells towels, bathroom towels, and I get, stuff for, you can buy things. You can buy things here. I didn't know this as an American when I first came. Because everything's not on Google. Little shops that sell pots and pans and all their cutlery. Bookstores, there are plenty of bookstores. I love books, so I have books around my house. But yeah, it's just, you have to know where to go. And if you're an American or if you're someone that's not familiar with Belgrade, you have to walk around a bit to find stuff to decorate your home or to make your home really beautiful. And, I might look into South Africa again. But again, I just, there's some places I don't feel safe if I travel alone as a woman, that I can safely walk as a pedestrian. Belgrade has a lot of great sidewalks, and it's safe to walk at, any time of the day or night. So if you're looking to move here, you don't have to worry. Like, you can park your car, no one's gonna like jack your car, no one's gonna like snatch you. Many buildings have private parking. I don't know about for driveways, people park a lot on the sidewalks. That's one thing I have to say. When I do my hot girl morning walks, you just see a lot of people on the side, cars on the sidewalks. Okay, you have to walk around the cars. But aside from that, it's a very safe city to walk around and to explore. Parking can be a nightmare. So anytime you're going out, just anticipate, 10, 15 minutes to find good parking. Most of the old buildings are built to last. I mean, if there's an earthquake, a lot of those buildings in Novi Belgrade, they're not going to move. The engineers did a great job, but on the outside, a lot of buildings look ugly. But on the inside, especially from offices I've gone to, it just looked like a horror story on the outside. But inside, everything's beautifully renovated. The colors, the furniture, people on buildings on the inside look great. The newer buildings do look prettier on the outside. And again, for those that just joined, Belgrade waterfront is great. You have a lot of foreigners there. Dedinje and Senjak, family friendly. A lot of international schools are there. City center where I am, that's the heart of Belgrade. It's the most important part of Belgrade. And then Vračar and Dorćol, great hipster, young artists, professionals. Zemun, very Vienna, because it was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Um, Novi, Belgrade, a lot of new things going over there, but that's where a lot of the old buildings are, right across the river. So for me, that's far. That's one thing. If someone invites me to Novi, Belgrade, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that because I feel that's far for me. And sometimes I don't want to cross, and I don't want to cross the bridge. So I won't be visiting, but that's a great, another great neighborhood. So it's great. You have a lot of options when you want to buy or to rent. There's a big supply of apartments to rent. As far as buying a home for as a foreigner, again, I don't think you'd be qualified to take out a mortgage. So you need to have that cash. And if you're at least married to a Serbian or a local, maybe you have that flexibility, but I don't think they do 30-year mortgages here. I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong watching this in the future. So have that cash, and you can buy a big, beautiful home, especially if you have €1 million+. Dedinje, that is the place to be because that's the Beverly Hills of Serbia. Beautiful homes with, okay, not everyone has a nice garden, but nice gardens and lawns, a lot of space. Senjak is a bit smaller. That's great, especially if you want to be right next to an international school or private school. So yeah, I think I've covered everything when it comes to properties and renting and buying. And again, there are a lot of different hotels where you can stay in. St. Regis, Bristol, Courtyard Marriott, Hotel Moskva, President Palace, Hotel Serbia. You have a lot of great options. And yeah, we go from there. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to end the live here. I'll see you. I do another live during the week as well. So I'm going to get ready for this property tour I'm going to go in, and we'll publish it tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Okay, everyone. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Bye.